Hello there. Welcome to the Star Bros podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Obviously, you've joined our podcast because you're going to get the review on the best prequel film. No, it's not The Phantom Menace. It's Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3, Star Wars. I am joined by Roly. Roly, how are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I am extraordinary because it's been a while. We had a week off, busy week, but we are back into the swing of things. You heard it, guys. We are reviewing episode 3 today. I will quickly say, if you haven't actually checked out our previous podcast, we actually have already reviewed episodes 1 and 2. You can go check that out on our SoundCloud, and we are also now up on Apple Podcasts.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you can go check us out on iTunes Podcast, and we are uploading our reviews also on YouTube, so plenty of platforms for you to delve into, and we hope you enjoy it. And if you didn't know, we are continuing these reviews as we near the release of episode 9, so we are going in chronological timeline order. Rolly, did you know we have actually... Now, we're reviewing theatrical releases. Am I correct?
Correct.
We've skipped one.
A theatrical release?
Yep.
What have we skipped?
Clone Wars 2008 release. Theatrically released movie.
Really?
Do you remember the cartoon?
Yes.
Technically, it's a theatrical release. It's a Star Wars movie. We skipped it.
Can you... I haven't seen that movie, but...
Don't.
Is it bad?
Yeah. It's notorious for being terrible. So...
What a shame.
But it's really... Well, it's just like... Clone Wars is just one of those things that, you know, it starts out like... Yeah. It starts out as something really... and then you watch it and then you get to the later seasons and then you're like, wow, this is awesome. And it flows right into Revenge of the Sith. Okay. That's what you're here for.
It is. Let's
get into it. Give me your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts, your initial thoughts after watching this movie, please.
I never thought I would say this, but okay. The tone of this movie is somewhat darker than Attack of the Clones, and I didn't like that. That's my initial thought on it. I'm surprised. I thought that I would enjoy this movie the most out of the prequel trilogy. However, I have to say that Attack of the Clones is a more fun film to watch. That's not necessarily to say that Attack of the Clones is a better film, but I have noticed that with the prequel trilogy, the films get darker as the trilogy goes on. This movie is humorless, or not humorless, but it has far less humor in it. It's a harder watch. It's more emotionally grating, and that sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't. But it's quite a serious and dark Star Wars movie, and I'm not sure I enjoy that as much.
Okay.
That's my initial thought. I'll go into more depth in a sec, but just what was your initial thought?
Yeah, I'll give you... I'm surprised, I got to say, about your response. This was by far my most enjoyable viewing of The Revenge of the Sith, and I've probably seen this movie countless times. But I told you before, after I watched it, that I sat back and I really took in this movie, and I was actually concentrating watching it, because usually I just flick it on the background, but I can really appreciate what George Lucas was doing in this movie, and I think he actually created a successful story in this movie, which is a bit, bit hard to argue for the last 2 movies, I guess. I
agree with that. The story is
really good. I'll touch on about the dark tone in this movie, and I think you've got to realize that this movie had a lot riding on it at the time, and that was you had to tell the story of the turn of Anakin Skywalker going into Darth Vader. I don't know how you tell that story any other way. It is naturally going to be a dark story. I mean, he crossed a lot of lines to get where he ended up. I mean, he killed younglings. You know, I've gone straight there. But what I'm saying is, this movie did take a dark turn. I will say though that I actually really enjoyed the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin a lot more than what I did in Attack of the Clones. I actually found their humor was great at the start of the movie, and especially in the opening sequence, they had a lot of good banter together. I think
I think their banter in Attack of the Clones at the start of the film is better,
Yep.
but I do agree that their relationship is really nicely shown and developed in this film.
and it had to be done.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because obviously that's what's riding on in the end is the most heartbreaking thing to watch is Anakin turning on Obi-Wan, and then you get the big epic fight, and so you needed that development of that relationship between those two characters because it pulls in your heart a bit more when it comes to the end of the story.
I think Hayden Christensen is just a better actor in this film as well.
He is,
which helps.
Yeah, I mean, there was only a 3-year gap. Like real life gap between these movies. And yeah, he matured a lot more in this movie, which I think his performance actually was really good in this movie. I really enjoyed him in this movie. So, and everyone else too, like Ewan McGregor was fantastic in this movie as usual. And it just makes you want that Obi-Wan series more than ever now after watching Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So yeah, his performance was phenomenal in this movie. And I think,
Just can I ask you a question?
Absolutely, please.
Who was your favorite character in this film to watch on screen?
Definitely Obi-Wan Kenobi, without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But in saying that too, very, very close second is definitely Palpatine, because he just steals the screen every time. I mean, like, Ian McDiarmid, he just is naturally even though he's such a nice guy in real life, he just comes across as an absolute evil bastard. He is so manipulative, and it is awesome to watch because he has Anakin, he's just got him in his hand, in his palm, and he just says these little things
he knows the right strings to pull at the right
and
time.
he's just like, oh, the council doesn't trust you, and just the way he does it, and
well, I think the clever thing is that he's right. The council doesn't trust him, and but that's the council not trusting Anakin. For our listeners, but yeah, I think Ian McDiarmid is electric. Every single scene with him in it is absolutely amazing. The scene where he recounts the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise is the best scene in the film for me. Yeah, he's really good. He makes this film a whole lot more watchable. I will say that General Grievous deserved better. He had some good scenes, but wasn't in it enough, and wasn't developed as a serious threat or villain. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I walked away from this film feeling a bit meh.
yeah.
And I didn't feel that after the Attack of the Clones. I was jazzed and excited for more Star Wars, and this film's got some really good stuff in it, but it's just, I found it a grind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe what George Lucas was feeling too was a lot of pressure of trying to tell that story of Anakin turning, that perhaps things were overlooked, such as the story of General Grievous. And, unfortunately, those characters do suffer in their development, and, they weren't as fleshed out as what they could have been, and weren't made big of a threat as what they should have been.
It's a heavy film too. I mean, George Lucas really decided to go quite dark with Anakin. Darker than I remember, but the fact that Anakin literally goes to the Jedi Temple. Spoiler alert, by the way, for our listeners. But the fact that he goes to the temple and kills all of the kids, that's not something that he had to do, but he did it, and I think it really does add to the story. I guess it's Darth Vader. It's the world's best villain in film, on cinema, to a lot of people. And so how do you make that? How do you justify that character? I guess you get him to kill a bunch of kids.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
guess
full
so,
on.
yeah.
It's full on. It's dark. Yeah.
I mean, not a necessary scene, him having to kill kids. I mean, you could have...
you couldn't do that these days.
You couldn't do that. And
you mean younglings, not kids?
Younglings, sorry.
Yeah, you misspoke.
Yeah, you could... I did.
Mispronounced it.
I did, sorry.
Actually, you know what? This movie has some great... it has given birth to some great one like Younglings is awesome. That dominates the internet now.
Yeah.
Hello There from
Yes.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, great one-liner.
Yeah.
Very well delivered by Ewan McGregor. Yeah, very cool. But I like Ewan McGregor is great in this film. I think I like him better in Attack of the Clones. He was a bit more quippy, a bit more sarcastic. Whereas in this film, it's, as you say, it's got a lot riding on it, and it has to go to a dark place in order to set up episode 4. So, yeah, I don't know. I understand why the film is darker. I just don't think I enjoyed it as much. I think that episode 2 strikes a good balance between fun and darker themes, and this film, and I think the other Star Wars films in general, do the same. Even episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, which is an incredibly dark film and ends with Luke Skywalker getting his hand chopped off.
Yeah.
I still feel like that has moments of, I don't know. It has some uppers, even though it's. I don't know. I guess the characters. I mean, again, the characters in this film are just like Padme is really underdeveloped and annoying. Not as annoying as what she is in the second one, but just she's like, Natalie Portman's not given a chance to really give a good performance here. Her lines aren't that good. She's just annoying every time she comes on screen. The other thing I want to bring up too is Yoda.
Yeah.
Now, Yoda in this prequel trilogy is not the same Yoda as the original trilogy.
No.
And I don't like it. In the original trilogy, Yoda is like this eclectic, funny talking alien. And in this one, he's like this really just
boring, wise, old guy.
Yeah, I don't know. He's very solemn.
Yes.
And there's none of that humor or that
quirkiness about him, I guess.
Yeah, it's just not there, and I don't know why. And maybe if they had made his character a bit more of that eccentric, quirky, funny talking alien, maybe that's the kind of thing that this film needed in it, just to bring it out of the dark a little bit, just a little bit. And I like dark movies. Like I'm usually the films I gravitate towards the most tend to be dark and sad movies, but this film just didn't quite hit the right tone. It was too much, too dark.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be like that. Yeah.
See, I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like it was too dark. I didn't really think about it all that it was a dark movie. I thought it is what it is, and that was just the way Anakin turned. And
I think the thing is too, like episode 2 sets up all these cool characters. Like they introduce or they make Mace Windu more prominent in the second Attack of the Clones, and so I wanted to see more of him in this film.
Yeah.
And it's just not developed. He's got some cool scenes, but they don't really do anything interesting with that character, and that seems like a waste. And I hope they keep him alive for the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah, that would be awesome, even for anything. Because that's one character that just hasn't been touched on at all. I remember even George Lucas came out. I don't know if this is actually prior to him selling Lucasfilm, but I'm pretty sure he came out and said, he's still alive somewhere, which is cool to think. And you would hope we see a story with him one day, and there's certainly a story to be told.
Mace Windu's one. Then there's Count Dooku. I mean, Count Dooku's setup is in our review of Attack of the Clones, I was saying that one of my favorite parts of that film is the setup of Count Dooku, and they kind of set up that he has this interesting story about leaving the Jedi Order, and it's just not developed or touched on or explained in this third movie. He's killed pretty quickly, then he's never spoken about again. It's just like, why?
Yeah.
Because Christopher Lee is awesome. I wanted to see more of that.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't there.
Yeah. Look, I think the thing we keep touching on and reiterating is that there's a lot of characters that were interesting, but were just not fleshed out. It seems to be the common issue with Revenge of the Sith. But I will say, though, something that I can praise this movie on is the visual effects, the special effects. I think they still hold up to this day. Like, a lot of it looks awesome. The opening sequence, that is got to be one of the best opening sequences to a Star Wars movie. I think, and I'll kind of paraphrase what Ellen said. I think it was on the Phantom Menace, is that you want to enter in a movie as late as possible, and we did. We go straight into like a battle scene on top of Coruscant, which is just awesome. It looks awesome.
Yeah. It's when I was watching this, I watched this with Ellen, and we both remarked on how amazing the special effects look still, and how far they've come.
Yes.
I mean, in the 3-year gap.
Yeah,
is just it's phenomenal what they were able to do.
Yeah,
and the progress they were able to make. But I think it still holds up. I think it looks amazing.
It does.
Yeah,
yeah,
and you're right. That front sequence, at the start of the film, it's amazing. It's a great scene. There's good banter. It looks great. And it's also good because it's not your typical battle. It's not your typical Star Wars scene. Like, there's war drums in the background. It's something that we hadn't really seen with Star Wars before, and so I think that's why it's interesting.
Yeah.
Just the tone of that first scene is
something new.
Yeah, I mean, it's something new. I just think it's quite, again, the tone of it's quite dark. It's got that intense battle drum music in the background.
Yeah.
And it's moody, and even though there's some lightness to it, the stakes are high. Yeah. And so, but that tone, that's the tone of the whole entire film. And for me, it was cool to see that at the start. I wanted to see it move beyond that, and it didn't. It stays with that really dreary, intense, high stakes tone the whole film. I understand why, but for me, it just made it not as enjoyable to watch as what Attack of the Clones was, and I'm surprised. But I mean, and also too, we can't do an episode 3 review without mentioning the badass lightsaber scene at the end, because it is awesome.
It's probably the best lightsaber duel that we've seen on screen so far.
I'll second that. Yep,
yeah,
I
it's
agree.
Definitely the best one we've seen so far. But yeah, awesome scene at the end. And amazing. Also the duel between Mace Windu and Emperor Palpatine. That was a cool scene too. I got a quick question for you.
Yeah. Do
you think Mace Windu legitimately won that fight, or Emperor Palpatine threw it?
Yeah, actually, you know what? There's a few...
there is so many videos to support either side. I just want to get your take on it.
I think I wouldn't put it past Palpatine. I think it's deliberately left ambiguous.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You know what? Actually, I think I don't know for sure, but I think I like better the theory that Palpatine intentionally threw the fight to manipulate Anakin.
Because Mace Windu was meant to be like one of the best swordsmen out of the whole entire Jedi Order history. So that's cool. That's a cool fact going into this. But yeah, I like the fact. I'd like to think that he did throw it, because that was part of his whole plan to turn Anakin to the dark side. But in saying that too, like it looked awesome, like Samuel L. Jackson, like really trying to take this guy out with just his purple lightsaber.
I want more Mace Windu.
Mace Windu.
Come on, Disney Plus. Yeah. Let's get a Mace Windu show happening.
They can do it. Absolutely.
Do you reckon Samuel L. Jackson would do it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You reckon?
Oh, the guy's always. Do you go into social media at all, or?
Not. I don't follow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's all like over the years. He's like always just like posting. He's holding his lightsaber hilt from the original set, and yeah, the dude's like, if Disney were to call him, he'd be like, yeah, I'll be there.
I hope he'd. Wouldn't that be awesome if he just showed up in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series?
Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how it would work in.
Well, 7 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Just as far as like Obi-Wan being secluded from the Jedi themselves and onto a desert planet where there's not much going on.
You could do it. I mean, he doesn't have to stay on Tatooine. Obi-Wan.
I don't know. I know this is going way off topic because we're doing Revenge of the Sith, but I'll quickly say I don't like the idea of him leaving Tatooine if he's there to protect Luke. I don't like that.
Maybe he has to leave Tatooine to protect Luke. Look, there's a lot you can do here.
I guess so.
And maybe part of it is him rebuilding what you're trying to rebuild, the Jedi Order.
Perhaps.
And wrangle together the last remaining Jedi, only to see them all mowed down by Darth Vader. Anyway, we're getting off topic here.
We are getting off topic.
Revenge of the Sith, what are you going to give it?
Yeah, I give it like a 7.5 for me. Which I think I gave Phantom Menace 6.5. I gave Attack of the Clones 6. I give this one a 7.5.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay. I think that's the same as what you've given. Attack of the Clones 6.5 here, I think.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones is a 6.5. Phantom Menace, I think, was a 5.
Okay.
And this is a 6 for me. Yeah.
Fair enough. Sits in the middle.
Sits in the middle.
Yeah. I will add a note as well that I absolutely enjoyed the music in this movie.
The music's good.
Yeah.
Actually, I forgot to mention that in our Attack of the Clones review as well. But the music in both of these films is really good. Much better because the Phantom Menace's music's pretty stock standard.
It is.
But the last two films have been really good.
Yeah. No, awesome. All right, well, guys, thank you for joining in on us, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Star Bros Podcast. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to us on all our platforms. Don't forget, check out our other podcasts if you haven't already. Do it. Yeah. And also check out our social medias, facebook.com/Starbros Podcast, Instagram @Starbros Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.